Hey, what's up everyone? DREAGEN here to tell you that you should be reading The Legacy of Heorot. So The Legacy of Heorot is a 1987 science fiction novel written by Larry Niven, Jerry Parnell, and Stephen Barnes, and features an expedition across the stars to the planet Avalon, funded by the National Geographic Society. Now, basically, the point of this story is to kind of populate the stars with humanity. It's a one-way expedition, basically, to a far-off planet where basically there's no return trip. So anyone and everyone who goes, that's it. This is going to be your life, and there's obviously no guarantee that you're going to make it too. Because the trip takes so long to make, the entire crew has to be basically frozen, suspended animation. And that becomes a problem when they wake up, because while the people who are selected for this trip are picked for being the most brilliant minds of Earth, peak physical condition, basically the best of the best of the best. When they get to Avalon, for being frozen so long, they develop basically hibernation instability, ice on the mind, meaning ice crystals have formed in the brain. So for some people, if you were, say, a brilliant engineer on Earth, right, just PhD material, the best you could maybe do now in Avalon is drive a tractor. So while some people are minorly affected, some people have essentially been reduced to little more than the village idiot. So right away, the colony's off to kind of a rough start, because now the whole colony can't really trust their own judgment. Not everyone knows to what degree they've been affected, or if they've even been affected. So they have to basically implement new procedures, new ways of doing things, peer reviews, double checking your work over and over and over again, just to make sure you got it right. And that if you're getting it wrong, it's not because it's wrong or because you did it wrong. So right away, now everyone's on edge. You're on an alien world, alien ecology, and now you can't even trust your own judgment. You can't really trust what your eyes are telling you, not fully anyway. So if that wasn't bad enough, they basically now run into some problems with kind of the local fauna. Initially, they started noticing that animals go missing. A lot of the pens that were keeping like livestock and animals are being destroyed. Dogs are being killed off. And a lot of the colonists, due to the hibernation stability, due to the kind of the paranoia that comes from that, are worried that perhaps certain members of the team are sabotaging it. One member in particular, Cadman Whalen, who was chosen for his military background, is kind of basically supposed to be the interstellar frontiersman. And a lot of people feel that because he might be something of a relic, something from an age gone by, military in a group of scientists, that maybe he is trying to create a situation where, people need him. He's important. And so a lot of people start blaming him, only to find out that no, basically the culprit is an indigenous life form, which they call Grendel, which basically is built like a Kodiak bear, looks like a crocodile, can move like Sonic the Hedgehog, utilizing a chemical in its body called speed, not the drug. And basically by flooding its bloodstream with speed, this animal is described as moving as almost a blur. So if you can imagine something that large moving so fast that your eyes can't even focus on it, and then imagining it that being able to tear through a group of people. Its jaws can crush steel. It's intelligent to the point where I think it's almost like a primate. So it's not dumb. These animals now, because of the speed, because when they move so fast, their body heats up so high. And if they don't cool down, they'll literally cook alive. So they stay near water. And because the colony is set up near a water source, it is basically now in prime game territory. They've basically built their entire colony on an island, which is a game trail for this big predator. So now that they realize that Cadman was right the whole time, they not only have to deal with this animal, but now they have to deal with the fact that he doesn't really want to help them out anymore. The story basically is about a lot of different kinds of personality types coming together and being forced to work together for a greater good. I'm not just talking about survival here, because obviously there's the immediate threat of, well, we don't want to be all killed off by this animal. The other is we are building the foundations of what will hopefully, if this animal doesn't kill us off, be a one-day future civilization, a new world where human beings, develop, evolve. So they need to basically iron out the kinks now, because what they set up now, the status quo they create now, will be the foundation for this society, this civilization for generations to come. this book challenges a lot of social norms too. It brings into question a lot of what we consider to be normal or taboo on Earth, and is it really the same here? One of the issues obviously is population. Now, on the ship that brought them, they basically have a lot of frozen embryos, basically enough to populate, and enough to create a large enough breeding population. But before they can thaw them out, they kind of again have to create the infrastructure of a civilization. So in the meantime, it's just the few hundred colonists there. So monogamy starts coming into question. It's like, okay, well, do we have to settle down with one person? They start bringing in ideas of like polygamy, even forms of government like socialist government, talking about things that maybe didn't work on Earth might work here in conjunction with different things. You're basically mixing and matching, and things that might have worked on Earth but was never given a try because, again, it just had become so ingrained in society as a social taboo. Well, we don't have to bring that baggage with us here. We're light years away from Earth, so let's try it out here. No one's going to judge us but ourselves. So it brings up a lot of questions. It raises a lot of questions. It forces you, the reader, to kind of take a look at society here on Earth and ask us, why are certain things accepted? Why are things not? And it doesn't mean everything that it brings into question is going to be something you decide is a good idea, but it makes you think. And that's what science fiction does. That's what good science fiction does. It makes you think. It makes you question. And it makes you realize that maybe the way we live our lives today is done so because of decisions and ways of thinking and ideologies of people who came long before us. And makes you wonder, is it still relevant? Is it relevant? If it is relevant, why? If it's not relevant, why? It makes you think. And that's what this story does. It really makes you think. So it kind of takes a classic adventure story, kind of traveling to a far-off land, except now the far-off land is another planet, encountering strange and dangerous beasts, and basically kind of having a frontier story on another planet, while at the same time creating a scenario, a situation where you, the reader, get to kind of reflect on the life you live, the world we live in, everything that governs our society. It makes you really think about why it is the way it is and how maybe this society should progress forward. What should they take from Earth? What should they discard and leave behind? So my recommendation that you should be reading The Legacy of Heorot. I think it's a great book. I picked it up just on a whim back in 1997. Just saw the cover, saw kind of a cool alien head on the front of it, and I was like, that looks neat. It looks like something I would read. So I picked it up, and it's become instantly one of my favorite books of all time. It does have a sequel, which more than likely will end up on this show, but we'll get to that one when we get to it. So, The Legacy of Heorot, have you read it? If so, what did you think? If not, are you interested? I'll put some links below where you can buy the book so you can check it out for yourself, because like I said, I highly recommend it. It's good stuff, and quite frankly, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been turned into a movie by now, but who knows? If any big producers are watching this, there's your idea. You can have that. I would say you don't have to pay me, but my wife off screen would throw something very heavy at my head if I did that. So pay me, pay her. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking in. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.